Welcome, everybody. This is the 25th podcast of the Social Business Hangout, and it's a special anniversary for us. And to celebrate it, we're kind of doing a special thing. I have with me my parents, and they've joined me all the way here in Brantford from Ottawa. And the topic tonight would be exactly that. What would my parents ask me if they had questions about social media? So let me introduce each of you. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Thérèse Leving. I'm his mother, and I don't know too much about anything
there you
that
go.
has to do with internet.
There you go. But you know how to Google, you know how to surf the web.
Yeah.
And you are on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. My dad, on the other hand,
doesn't have a clue.
Doesn't have a clue. Please introduce yourself.
Marcel Leving, Robert's father.
It took a lot of time to come up with that word.
And even more important, I've been married close to 46 years.
46 years, and that's quite the achievement. So we are in Brantford, and we actually celebrated your arrival with Brantford by spending an hour and a half with Walter Gretzky today.
Yes,
so
which was lovely.
That was an interesting experience that's the full Brantford experience right there. So you two ready for this?
Okay.
Okay, so this is going to be a hot seat Q&A format. I do not know what these questions are. Unlike in the past when we've done a hot seat, it's been on a particular topic, being YouTube, Pinterest, whatever. Being the 25th podcast, we're kind of doing it as a free-for-all. We're going to cover items that we've talked about before, as well as cover items that we've never talked about before. So we're going to go back and forth. We're going to try to get as many questions in as possible. And we'll start with you, Mom.
Okay, if you have never used a computer before, once you have one, what are the first three things in social media one should get to sign into?
Ooh, very good question. I would assume, first of all, that you wouldn't have an internet email. Okay, so I would start right outside of social media. I would say you need to have an email address because most social media sites require an email as the form of authentication for the site. So I would say either a Gmail, a Hotmail, a Yahoo, whatever your preference. Personally, I would recommend a Google email, so a Gmail account. After that, I would definitely go with Facebook, just because it is, the elephant in the room. It is the gorilla in the room. It is the power player. There are a billion people on it. After that, I would say the third one really is up to you. And it really depends on the individual at that point in time. If you're a pictorial person, you might want to have something that focuses on images. If you're a video person, you might want to have something like YouTube. But the key here is just because you are on social media doesn't necessarily mean that you have to contribute to social media. So an example being, it would be good for you if you have a Google account for your email, you would immediately also have a YouTube account because they're owned by Google, which would allow you to interact more so in the YouTube community, like commenting, liking, and stuff like that. So to keep it kind of generic, I would say a Google email address, preferred in my opinion, because that gives you the full Google repository. At that point in time, I would go Facebook, and at that point in time, I would really define it per the individual. Is that fair?
Okay.
Okay. Dad.
Related to Facebook and what was just mentioned, I have a three-point question. We talked about Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we are talking now about tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What is a tweet? And how popular it is? How does it work?
Okay, so when we say...
Who sees it?
And who sees it? Okay, so by tweets, obviously we're referring to Twitter, which is pretty much in the top three of the social media sites out there. The big players obviously are Facebook, Twitter, and up until recently it would have been, another site, but now it's pretty much Pinterest. In Twitter, first and foremost, it is mostly public. You have the ability to do private direct messaging, but the mindset behind Twitter, it is a public medium. A tweet is the equivalent of a status update. So if you think of Facebook or an email subject line, okay, it's what you want to say. What do you have to say? What do you want to mention? What do you want to share? Okay, and it is limited to 140 characters. So the entire idea behind Twitter is keep it simple, keep it tight, keep it non-verbose, right? The old emails where you would just write for 1,000 characters and 1,000 words or whatnot, you got 140 characters. That's it. And the reason for that is it's built on top of the text messaging model of phones, which is 160 characters. So what they do is they take 20 characters for the ability to send content from point A to point B, and they give you the remaining 140 characters for your message. In that 140 characters, you would indicate anything. It's text. It could be links. It could be text. You could be mentioning other people. So if you want to have a conversation with me, let's say you are at M. Levine, I would be at R. Levine 42. If you wanted to write a tweet that would capture my attention, just like an email where you write an email address when you send it to a person, you would go at R. Levine 42, you know, the little at symbol, and that would show up in my at mention, which is kind of like an inbox. Okay, it shows all the stuff that people have referred to me. Okay, but if you just want to say, I'm having, a coffee at a particular location, that's your tweet. If you want to say I'm watching a show, you can say that. But what you can also do, like I said, is engage in dialogue, just like you would in an email, just like you would in a chat. But instead of doing it privately, where it's just you and me talking, by doing it publicly, other people are now aware of that conversation. And once again, you wouldn't say things that are private. You would say things that, the world, you'd be comfortable with the world seeing. But now that conversation is taking place, like in this room, where all of a sudden someone like Ron might get in on the conversation and add to it. But instead of just it being with the people in the room, you're now potentially having a conversation with someone in the world. Okay, so by putting it out there, you are inviting a conversation to take place. And like any social media, that's really the core of it, is to engage, start a conversation. Because everything leads from a conversation. Did that kind of answer the question?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Should I use my real name when I go on the internet?
I would say yes, although your ID might not necessarily be your real name. So the idea being, I'm known as R. Levine 42. So obviously the 42 is, Douglas Adams 42, the R. Levine, Robert Levine, and I use that everywhere. So my digital footprint is tied to R. Levine 42. If you go on Facebook, if you go on Twitter, if you go on YouTube, if you go on Google, the list goes on and on and on, I will be R. Levine 42. But when you pull up that ID, when you pull up that profile, it will say Robert Levine. Okay, and there are a lot of sites out there that will allow you to post anonymously or using an alias and stuff like that. But the very purpose of social media is twofold: A, to be found. Okay, and you want to be found as you, and you are building a repository of your identity across all of these platforms. So when all of a sudden someone pulls up Robert Levine on Google, when you Google Robert Levine, you will see all the stuff across my YouTube, my Google, my Twitter, my Facebook less so because it's more within their own network. But if you are using false names or different names, you're managing multiple identities, right? The goal of social media, the goal of personal branding is to build an overall identity around your name. So I would say, yes, use your real name. Having said that, there are times when you might not want to use your real name, and this is something that when Google Plus came out, there was a big controversy. They had you must have your real name, but you had all of a sudden people that were divorced, people that were hiding, people that were known more for their alias than their real name, and there was a lot of back and forth. So they've allowed alias in that. But to me, in this day and age, it's all about transparency. And if you're going to be transparent, you might as well be transparent as yourself, because you are doing that for the purpose of making yourself more known and who you are more known. Is that fair? Deb?
We're talking about podcasts. Leads me to the question, what's the difference between a blog and a podcast?
Okay. So first of all, a blog comes from, it's a contraction of a much bigger name, and by bigger I mean 6 characters, web log. Okay? So a log, and is you're writing your log, and that could be your diary, it could be anything, it's a log. When all of a sudden you took your log and you put it up on the web, it became a web log. They removed the WE, that became a blog. Okay? And it is just a log that's available on the internet. So a blog typically is textual in nature. Okay, you can have embedded as part of the blog images, videos, audio, whatever you want. But the core of a blog is no different than you would see in an ebook or a website or whatnot. A podcast evolved more, and the name comes more from the iPod, because the iTunes allowed you to subscribe to podcasts. So The cast comes from broadcasting, right? Pod being the format, cast being the broadcasting. And once again, the two words came together and you got podcast. It is audio in nature. Okay? It's always audio. And the reason it's called a podcast is it's very closely tied to the iTunes framework, which is Apple's distribution mechanism. But just because you have a podcast does not necessarily mean that you have to be part of the Apple. So this podcast right now is only hosted by my website. It's still called a podcast because by the very nature it is an audio log. So if you think of a blog as a web log or a textual blog, a podcast is an audio log, whereas a video log, vlog, is a video log. So if I were to stand in front of a video, if we were to do this in front of a video right now and put it up on YouTube, it would be called a vlog, video log. Okay, so you can think of a podcast as a audio log.
Okay.
Is that fair? And it could be anything.
Okay,
Thanks.
Okay, when I post a picture on Facebook, who sees it?
Like everything else, it depends on your security settings, okay? And this applies to Facebook, this applies to Google+, this applies to any network that exists out there. Because keep in mind, there's more out there than just Facebook, but Facebook, once again, is the power player. You set up an image, first of all, it could be posted on your wall, or it could be posted in an album. Okay, so if you put it in an album, which most people do, you upload a whole bunch of pictures and say, well, today we went to Walter's place and, we took a bunch of pictures. You might upload those to Facebook as an album called My Day with Walter. Okay? And what you can do is you can set up the privacy settings for the album. So you can say this album is only available to friends. Or this album is available publicly. Or this album is only available to me, Marcel, Karen, and Rob, because we were the ones there, maybe, Ray, or whoever, is in your family, right? So you define who gets to see it. On the individual picture level, you can also put security on an image as well. Okay, so you can do it at the album level as a group. So what happens is if the image itself doesn't have a security setting, it will take it from the album. And similarly, if you upload an image to your wall, okay, it's now a post, right? Mm-hmm. And just like a post on Facebook, you define the security settings of your post. You can make a post public, friends, or custom, or only me, right? So custom, you would say, I want this post only available to Marcel, Robert, Karen, the people that were there. That setting that you have on the post will be applied to the image as well. Okay? And the ones that you put on your wall will show up in a separate album called wall posts. And what you can do with wall posts is you can set up the security for that album as well. Okay. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay.
Going back to blog, podcast, who cares? If you do a blog or a vlog and a podcast, who cares?
Yeah, very good question. And once again, whether or not you're doing it as a person or as a business, it's the community that you're trying to build, right? So in the case of this podcast, I've always said it cares to the people that are doing the podcasts. So I use the example. Most of these podcasts are done in front of a large group, but when we did the one with Cantina, it was just the two of us in a room. Who cared about it? Well, I cared about it. Cantina cared about it. And the content was really good. No one in the room was here because it was an awkward night. So everybody that couldn't be here, that regularly is here, cared because they could go and listen to it at home and not have to come here the day. So they cared. And anybody that's on the internet that is interested in the topic we talked about would care because the topic is, a draw. So when you think about who cares, there is the people involved, which is the first degree. There is the friends of those people, so that's the second degree. And then there's the people that are interested in the topic. So in this particular case, it really comes down to this. Lovely. And we are doing this in front of a live audience, and it's actually a fairly great audience. Are you red? Okay, this is the beauty of live. So who cares? Jen cares. Right now, Jen really cares about who's listening to this podcast, because everybody that will listen to this podcast will have heard that noise. But I say that jokingly because we try to take it humorous. For me as a business person, however, why do I do this? It is a form of inbound marketing. So all of these topics are things that are interest to the people I do business with. being partners or potential clients. So it is a way for them to learn something about a topic they're interested in and also now become aware of me as a business. Is that fair?
Thank you.
No worries.
Now, why is everyone on Facebook, and is it safe for kids?
Very good question. First of all, Facebook, I believe, limits to 13 years old that you need to be able to have an account. However, I know a lot of people that break that rule, and they literally create an account for their child when they're born. Okay, so it's like anything else. You indicate how old you are, and if you lie, right? But the basic terms and conditions, you should be 13 years old, and that's more for legalese. It really comes down to this. The population of the planet is what? Getting close to 7 billion now. And there's 1 billion accounts on Facebook. So about 1/7 of the population is on Facebook. It is the size of a country. A large country, right? So when you think about it, all of the social, political, economical, psychological, all of those elements that you would have in a country that size, you have on Facebook, right? So it'd be no different than saying, why should I be part of the Chamber of Commerce if you were interested in commerce? Why should I be in this church if you were religious? Why should I be part of this political entity if you were political, right? It is an extension of everything that we have as a society online. So it is its own country. So when you create an account on Facebook, you have become a citizen of Facebook, for lack of a better statement, right? So the answer is kind of wide, because it'd be no different than saying, why should you be part of a church? Why should you be part of a political organization? Why should you be part of a business? The larger the community, the more you want to engage with that community. So if you're there on a personal level, your friends are there. The people that you might be interested in, the community that you're interested in are there. It is a way of engaging without necessarily leaving from home, right? You can't necessarily go halfway around the world. Like, I know tonight, when I put this up, people in Australia will be listening to it. Well, why should I be on Facebook? Well, it allows me to tell them that the podcast is live and they now know it's there and they come to it, right? It is a community, and it comes down to anything. Why would you want to be part of a community, or why would you not want to be part of a community? Those that do not want to be on Facebook choose to not be part of the community, and there's multiple reasons why they would not be. Is it safe? It's no different than the internet. Is the internet safe? There are predators out there. So you're asking about children. We are living in a society right now where by the time a child reaches puberty, there will be more images about that child online before they hit the age of 13, right? Parents are sharing, Marianne, your child is being born in a month's time from now, and I'm sure we'll see pictures of the baby within a day of it being born, right? Yeah, we'll all like it, right? So, that very nature of the community, because why would Marianne share that? Because we're a part of our community. We want to experience that birth. Not the birth itself, but we want to experience the joy of the moment and so forth, right? But that is a digital artifact that will be there for the lifetime of that child, right? Is it safe? It comes down to like everything else. Who do you invite in your house? Who do you have part of your community? How do you set up the protection? How do you educate your children? And I think that's the biggest thing. No different than whether or not you're running a business or a family. You want to educate your business on how to use the internet, how to use social media. No different than if you were a parent. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's as safe as you make it. We grew up in an era, and I'm talking about me and to a certain degree you, where we threw lawn darts in the air, metal objects with spikes, and watched them fall down, and we survived that. If we could survive a lawn dart, I think we can survive Facebook.
Different subject. A question in 3 parts.
He loves the 3-part questions.
Of course. What is a hashtag? How is it used? How do you access it?
A very good question. So this is related mostly to Twitter, although hashtags have kind of evolved outside of Twitter. It was, first of all, didn't exist until like 2008, I think is when the term hashtag got created. It is, first of all, it's the pound symbol, which is a hash, for those of you that don't use it by that name. And the tag is a way of organizing. So if I were to create a blog entry, I would have tags on that blog entry to say what that blog entry is about. If I have a video, I would have tags that would give context about what the video is about. When I put up this podcast, I will have tags that will tell me people what this podcast is about. So it's a way of contextualizing the content. A hashtag is if I'm writing a tweet, and let's say I am talking about Facebook. If I'm just putting out there and saying blah, 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 whatever, I'm only talking to the people that know me and have already engaged with me. However, when you put a hashtag on something, you are giving contextual information about that tweet or that post. So other people have the ability to now search for hashtag Facebook. Okay? So now all of a sudden you have the ability to broadcast your message to people you don't even know exist. Okay? Because what you're doing is you're making it easier for those people to find your content. And that really is what tagging is all about, is to add context to your content to make it easier for people to find your content as well as link to other content that is related. So when you ask the question, how do you access it, how is it used, it is a link, just like a web link, like a URL, http google.com. Okay, it's a link. And what it does is if you click on a hashtag, it will pull up all of the other tweets, especially if we're talking about Twitter, that have used that hashtag. So now, if you're interested in Brantford, every day I make a point of searching the term hashtag Brantford. Now, everybody that has tagged their posts, whether or not they live in Brantford or not, with the hashtag Brantford, boom, there they are. And I'm now able to discover people that I didn't even know exist. Okay? And that's really the power of a hashtag. It is a community unto itself. It's like a group. It's like a chat room. It's like this room. Okay? It's a way of organizing a group of people together talking about a topic of common interest. Yep?
Supplementary. I'm a politician. Okay, supplementary is that you see hashtag, you go to Ottawa, and there's the Fox, the statue of Fox.
Terry Fox?
There's a hashtag.
Yeah.
How do you access it?
Is that a hashtag or a QR code?
No, it's a hashtag.
That's a QR code.
That's a QR code.
That's a QR code, I think you're referring to.
Sorry.
Okay,
Explain to him what a QR code is.
No, so there we go. So what you're describing is a QR code.
Okay, how do I access it?
Okay, so a QR code is like a barcode. You're familiar with a barcode. Yes. Your son has one on the back of his neck.
Yes.
Okay, and I got a tweet literally 2 days ago saying they're writing a blog entry and they wanted a picture of a barcode tattoo. So, whatever. Yeah, you're shaking your head. But a QR code allows you to take a mobile device like a phone, okay, and it's got 3 points on the barcode, and you'll see it's three little squares, and that is the anchor point for the image. So what the phone does is it picks up on those, and then it reads the rest of the pixels, the squares, okay, and it is a unique code. Every one of them is unique. And behind the scenes, someone has registered on a site this image with this content. Now that content could be a link to Terry Fox's website. Okay? So you click on there, all of a sudden it immediately pulls it up to the website. So you don't have to type www.terryfox.com. Or, right there on the spot, in the case of, we're in a library right now, so you're pointing to a QR code beside a painting, it could pull up text on your phone about that item that you're looking at. It could pull up on audio. So now all of a sudden you're listening to an MP3 describing that painting. It could pull up a video showing the person actually painting it. Okay? It is a way of adding extra content to where you are. And that could be a contest, it could be text, it could be a link, it could be anything. By using your phone and the camera on the phone to pick up that barcode, because it's a barcode, it's a two-dimensional barcode, and pass on information. So no different than when you go and you pick up a carton of milk and they go beep. Okay, the back end, Karen's laughing. The back end says this barcode equates to what? A price point, a description about the thing. It doesn't. The lasers don't know what just got what the item is, but the barcode tells them that. So that QR code is just a more complex version of a barcode that allows anybody with an app on their phone and using the camera to pick up to pull up that content, and it gives you that extra little bit of context and engagement with the artifact that you're looking at. So you're a volunteer at the War Museum, okay? So now you've done in the past a verbal dialogue about a particular exhibit. If you were to record that on audio, they could host that audio on their website, on their servers, and the students walking through could go beep, and all of a sudden be listening to, on their phone, you telling them about that artifact or the story behind that era without you actually having to be in the room. That's the power of a QR code.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you now understand what a hashtag is.
I just learned something
Yeah.
new tonight.
And
many things.
And we understood the fact that what you were originally thinking what was a hashtag was actually a QR code.
Yes.
And it's great that you brought up the Terry Fox, because that's a prime example. A person looking at that monument may not know who Terry Fox is. Who is this guy? Beep. Now they have an understanding of who it is. And you could literally be watching the Terry Fox movie right there on the phone, staring at the monument, because the QR code brings it up.
Okay.
Okay? Back to you.
Okay, why is it important to click on my friend's like button? Do I like it?
Okay.
I don't like it. I like it.
Well, okay, there's two aspects to it. One, it's a form of acknowledgement. Okay? So, in the old days, you might just nod at a person, right? You go into an elevator, it's like, nod, good morning, right? A like is like a nod. Okay, you've acknowledged the fact that you've seen it. You've acknowledged that it's had some form of impression on you. Okay, you don't necessarily so if you're going through my page and you like some stuff on my page, but there's some stuff you don't click like. But I know that you pretty much just scan and like the ones that caught your eye. So you've acknowledged that you were there. It's your breadcrumb, right? If you run it. So I don't know necessarily who's doing what on my page, but when a person clicks like, it gives me a sense as to what resonated with people and what did not. So if I do something that gets a lot of people resonating on it, that's a way of saying, we want to see more of that, right? Okay, so a like is a way of giving exactly that. You're giving a thumbs up. Okay, a comment is the one step further, right? So you can click like with just a click. To expect people to comment involves a little bit more work. You've got to think about what you want to say, what emotions, what did that image bring up, right? And then you got to type it in. So what's important with a like is twofold. One, you're saying, hey, I was here. B, this caught my interest and maybe do more. But the way Facebook also works is there's a lot of content on Facebook. You're looking at 1 billion people now on Facebook. And there's, your feed gets overwhelmed. Most people have about 150 friends on Facebook. The stuff that gets liked is more likely going to show up on people's newsfeed. Okay? So if you want someone's content to be viewed by a larger audience, like this podcast, the more people that click like on that link, the more likelihood is that they will show up on people's news feeds. Okay, and that's why the importance. So please like this podcast. Back to you.
Goes back to the use or sometimes overuse of the internet. Is it okay to buy stuff online? What are the advantages and what are some obvious disadvantages?
Okay, so first and foremost, we are living in an e-commerce world now, right? It's been 10 years that Amazon has been around. You've seen bookstores disappear. Like what is it? Barnes & Nobles doesn't exist anymore. That entire industry has changed dramatically. The brick and mortar industry has been forever changed. So the era of e-commerce is here. We're not going back. And the reason for that is the ability to buy either goods or services that are not necessarily in my geographical location, or more importantly, if I don't want to leave home to do that, right? So the advantages are I am reaching a larger audience, a worldwide audience, and I'm basically making things available to people that don't necessarily want to travel to a shopping mall, okay? Disadvantages, like anything else, is buyers beware. Do you trust the source that you are buying, right? But that's no different than the old classified days. When you pulled up a classified in the paper and you saw, fridge for sale, $200, come and pick it up, it's yours. How much do you know about the person that's selling that fridge? How good is the fridge? What's the review of the fridge? So what online has provided us, though, is we now have reviews, we have ratings, all of these things that add context to the individual selling it, whether or not it's a company, an individual product, Like, when Karen and I went shopping for our latest printer, there was a QR code right there on the box of the printer. We scanned it, pulled it up. It pulled up 200 reviews of it. We were able to decide whether or not we were going to buy that printer based on the online reviews. We could have done that from home before even walking into the place, right? So the advantages are obviously worldwide access to both a consumer market, if you're the one selling, as well as worldwide access to an inventory that you might not have access to. Like eBay as an example. As much as eBay is not used as much, Kijiji, Craigslist, all of these things have made things available to a larger market. Once again, disadvantages, it really comes down to this. Buyer's behavior. Do you trust the person you're buying? If you are sending money electronically, who are you sending it to? How are you sending it to? What are you brokering the transaction with? All of those things come into it. But that's no different than the old days of putting $20 in an envelope and mailing it to someone, right? Is the post office going to rip open that envelope and suddenly the letter's not going to arrive at its destination? The old days, we trusted traveler's checks, right? Because why would you carry cash? All of those things, it's commerce related. So whether or not it's the internet or real life, meaning in life transaction, the same rules apply. There are advantages and disadvantages. What is the advantage of having a brick and mortar in a particular geographical region? Lowe's built one in Brantford. Target just decided not to build one in Brantford. Well, am I going to be walking into a Target in Brantford? No. But Target.ca now allows me to potentially buy goods and services from Target.ca, even though they don't have a physical location in my location. So the advantages are there. You want to have a presence in the market that you are trying to target, and you want to be reputable in your transactions so that people want to do commerce with you. So those advantages and disadvantages apply regardless of the internet. Is that fair?
Thank you.
Okay. And probably good for 2 more questions.
2 more. Okay, on the right side of the home page in Facebook, can you get rid of the ads?
No. And you're going to be seeing more and more. With the IPO happening this Friday, they're going to be wanting to make money. One of the biggest changes that's happened this week, and it's not going to be, the traditional concept of advertising on Facebook is going to be forever changed. You are now going to be able to pay $2 to highlight your post, to bump it up as a promoted post so that more friends see it. Going back to what we were saying earlier about, how do you get your stuff seen? Mm-hmm. If people are liking it, there's more likelihood to see it. You can now spend $2 and make sure people see it. So the concept of pushing content above the fray is always going to be there. Ads are a revenue model for Facebook. It is white space that they are selling. It is the cost of using their platform. Okay. There are, however, if you're using stuff like Chrome and stuff like that, there are extensions that will hide it and stuff like that. But that's more advanced, and I wouldn't get into it. But the reality is, if you're using a free-based service, expect to pay somehow. And ads, by either, you don't necessarily have to click on them, but just the fact that you're seeing them. The good news is unlike other sites that just put up, here's some white space that we won't be using, I'll just put up an ad. The ads that you will be seeing on Facebook are, or should be for the most part, driven by your behavior in Facebook. Meaning if you have an interest, if you were a female, you should be seeing things that are more geared towards the female population. If you're a male, you will see things that are more geared towards the male population. If you like a particular sport, you will see things more geared towards that sport. So the idea with the Facebook ads is they should be more or less stuff that, in time, that you are actually interested in seeing. Right now, though, that's not necessarily the case. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, one last question.
One last question is that, although partly I know the answer, but how does Google know all the stuff?
It crawls the internet, okay? And it basically goes, it finds a link and then goes to that link and finds other links on that page and then finds other links and then finds other links and then finds other links. Having said that, that's been the case for 10 years, okay? And they would basically count how many things link to a site and determine, hey, if more things link to the site, therefore it's more relevant, and that's how you get to the first page. What's changed, however, is by sharing content, by tweeting it, by posting it on a blog, by sharing it as your status update, by putting it on Google+, the human element now, by clicking like, by clicking +1, All of these things are helping Google discover things as well. So it is now a mix of both crawling the web as well as the human element curating what's on the web. And that part has changed dramatically in the last few years. The social element of us engaging with the content and saying, this is something I like, and tying it to your profile gives a weight to that content. So it's not just crawling for content, you're almost helping find content now as well. You know, and recently as well, Google turned on history. So they are now, unless you disable it, track your online behavior. So as you go and surf the web, it's curating those links for you, right? So instead of trying to find them, you're telling them they exist.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Reintroduce yourself.
Marcel Lavigne.
Thérèse Lavigne.
And I'm Robert Levine, your social business mentor, and this has been the 25th podcast. Thank you, everybody, for being quiet.